Hello, 3B. I need to apologize for the videos from yesterday that they weren't working. So I thought today I was going to make another video so I can show you all the things that I wanted to teach you about yesterday. Okay, let's go quickly. This is called a bar graph. You should know this already, bar graph. And we need to talk about the parts of the graph. You need to be able to remember what all the different parts are, so that when you talk about them, when you discuss your data, displaying things, if people say like, hey, what's on the y-axis? You can say, well, actually, I can tell you, because you'll know what the y-axis is. Let's start from the beginning. This part up here is very important. It's called the title. And sometimes, as it is here, the title's in the form of a question. What kind of pet do you own? But other times the title might just be a statement. But the title always gives us an insight as to what question is this graph answering. So it's called the title. This part over here is also probably the second most important bit. It's called the scale. These are all the numbers that can possibly be represented on the graph. I'll write this over here. It's called the scale. These are all the numbers that can possibly be represented. So in this graph we see we can represent anywhere between 0 and 11. Excuse me. So if we had a result that was over 11, we would either have to make a bigger graph or change the scale. Maybe we go up by 2s, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now we have more numbers to play with. This line along here, where we have the names of the animals, this is called the x-axis. Now, there's a lot of reasons why it's called the x-axis. We won't go into those now, but you just need to know the information along the bottom is called the x-axis. Therefore, the information along the side here, the scale, is called the y-axis. And both the x-axis and the y-axis have labels. So these are labeled by the types of pets people own who were surveyed. And this is labeled as the number of people. So let's take a look at what this data means. How many people own a rabbit? The bar stops at 4. That means that 4 people own rabbits. The dog, actually, you know what? Pause the video, just write down the numbers you think correspond to the answers, then push play and check and see if you're right. Okay, you ready? Hopefully you paused the video and now you want some answers. If we look at dog, it's even there with 8, so 8 people like dogs, or own dogs, I should say. Maybe they don't like them, they just own them. Cats is 11. Goldfish is 6. Hamster is 5. And we can do some fun stuff with this. We can say, oh, well, how many people were surveyed? Well, that's easy. Just count up the number of votes here, and you can probably figure out how many people were surveyed. So that's all you need to know about a bar graph. You got the title, the scale. The scale can change depending on how many numbers you need to show. You have the y-axis, the x-axis, and you have labels. Next, okay, let's look at a pie chart. This is a pie chart, and go ahead and have a read. This shows 100% of Grizzly's activity. How Grizzly spends his time. 100% of his activity is summed up in this graph. Okay, in this chart, I should say. So this is the title here. Oops, title. I can't spell with the mouse. This whole thing here is the pie chart itself. That's the pie chart itself. This part over here is a little bit different. This is called the legend, or the key. And that's really important. Anytime you have a pie chart, you need a legend or a key. Otherwise, I won't know what the red symbolizes. Legend or key. Oops. So I can see straight away that the majority of Grizzly's time is taken up by this slice here, this massive slice. The majority of his time, actually 70% of his time. So if I look at the key, I see, well, it's not blue, it's the red part. So Grizzly spends most of his time sleeping. His next biggest thing that he does is he eats. At 11% of his time is taken up with eating food. The blue part, this slice here, is worth 9% of Grizzly's time. He spends 9% of his time playing with a toy, which is true. And he spends 4% of his time here, stealing my socks, which he always does. Always steals my socks. He spends 5% of his time here, this slice, sniffing his own bottom, so that's always fun. Dogs like to do that. And then this little slice here, this tiny one, Grizzly spends this time pondering the nature of reality, as all dogs do. Now, you'll notice that all of these have numbers on them, percentages, except for this little slice here. But because you know that the whole pie chart is worth 100%, you can actually calculate the exact amount of how much time Grizzly spends, according to his day, pondering the nature of reality. So let's work through how we might do this. If we added up all of this time, and we should get a number very close to 100%. Whatever's left over is how much time Grizzly spends pondering the nature of reality. So pause the video, see if you can figure that out, and then I'll push play, and I will show you how to do it. Okay, if you're watching this, then you would have gotten an answer. Let's check it out. Let's start with 70% for sleeping. Then we'll add up how the next biggest one, how much time he spends eating food, which is 11. 70 plus 11 is 81. The next biggest portion of Grizzly's time is spent, let me look, sniffing his own bottom. So 81 plus 9 is 90, so that's 90% of Grizzly's day, all used up. The next biggest portion of his day is sniffing his own... No, hang on. I did that wrong. Sorry, the other was playing with his toy was 9%. So that gives us 90. Now, from 90 we say, what's the next biggest portion? That's sniffing his own bottom. That's 5. See, boys and girls, it's good to make mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn. 90. Look at this. I cannot talk and write at the same time. 90 plus 5, ladies and gentlemen, is 95. Not 94. 95. Okay. Now we've up to 95%. The next biggest portion is stealing Mr. Black Socks at 4%. 95 plus 4 is 99%. Therefore, if this graph represents 100%, and it does because it's a pie chart, then this last little sliver here must be worth, you guessed it, 1%. Yay! So Grizzly spends 1% of his time pondering the nature of reality. Okay, that's what you need to know, guys. That's all about a bar graph, all about a pie chart, and I just found this on the internet, and I thought that was kind of funny. This represents pie I have eaten because it's missing, and this is pie I have not eaten because it's like still there in the pan. Get it? It's funny. It's a joke. Okay, boys and girls. The last thing I want to show you is the world famous Carroll diagram. This is named after Lewis Carroll, who, as you know, wrote Alice in Wonderland. He was a mathematician. He was a writer. All around, cool dude, deep thinker, you know? And he came up with this way of sorting information. And I watched a lot of you guys do this yesterday on your self-study workbook, and a lot of people had questions. I think you got it in the end, but I still think you're a little shaky. So do this with me. I'll show you. We'll do the first one together. Over here is the blackbird. Okay, actually there's a picture down here, but it's called the blackbird. And the blackbird has two features. It's got a type of animal. Well, it's a bird. And it's got a relationship to human beings. It's wild. You cannot train a blackbird to do things. So the question is, where does it fit in this big chart over here? Well, we know two things about it. We know it's a bird. So if it's a bird, it's got to live in the vertical column somewhere here, either square up here or square down here. And we know it's wild. That means it has to live in this horizontal column, either this one or this one. So the only square that can satisfy both wild and bird is this one here. So I'll pop this over, I'll drag it up, I'll drop it in, and I'll check it. Yay! I was right. So the blackbird, because it's a bird and it's wild, it has to live in that square. Okay, now I want you to write in where you think the robin goes on your piece of paper that you have. Got an answer? Let's plop it in. It says that it's a bird and it's wild, so it goes over here with the blackbird and... Woo! Okay, next one. A sparrow. It's also a bird, and it's also wild. No surprise there, the sparrow also belongs in the same group. Sweet. Ah! A seagull. Seagulls are also birds. They're also wild. So we're building quite the menagerie of animals over here. Sweet. Okay, now here we go. We've got a cat. Now that's a terrible picture of a cat, but we're right in the boxes where you think the cat should go. Where should the cat go? Got the answer? Hopefully you decided that the cat was a mammal, so it either is a wild mammal or a domesticated mammal. Definitely domesticated. Cats are great pets. Good. Dog? Where do you think? Where does dog go? Dogs are mammals. They're not birds, last time I checked. And grizzly is definitely domesticated. He's not a wild animal. In fact, I think he would die in the wild. I don't think he could take care of himself. Good. Ooh, a mouse. Okay, mice. Yeah, mice. Mice are definitely mammals. They're not birds, but they're wild. Not saying you can't train a mouse. Maybe you probably could. But in general, mice are wild. Good. How about a turkey? Gobble, gobble. Turkeys are funny. They're birds, even though they look crazy, but they're not really wild. Not in America, anyways. Which is, but bush turkeys. I guess bush turkeys are wild. You know what? I think it does say domesticated up here anyway, so we'll put it in the right box. Good. Okay, 3B. Thanks for watching. There's some questions for you to do on style, and then you can continue on with your research project if there's any more time left. And if I won't see you at Hebrew Singing, then I will see you at the end of the day or on Monday. Bye!